Okay, so there are ways to do Gallardi. Good start.
Gallardi
Gallardi candidacies, yes. And that's going to be the perfect start to the show. Trust me, folks, you'll understand more why I say that later on the show. But there are ways to have Gallardi candidacies, and then there are ways to have Gallardi candidacies, Frank said. Let's go to one.
Easy for you to say.
That I think is the epitome of what you should do when you have a Gallardi semifinalist.
Oh, that's hot. That's hot. Whew. That thing was hot. It's spinning. That's red. That's red all day long, baby. All day long. Oh my gosh, that was a scorcher right there. Golly. Look at that baby burn. You need some water to cool that down, buddy? Huh? Stop, drop, and roll, fork! Stop, drop, and roll! Get down! Get down! Get
Wow. You need some water to cool that down, Frank? You need some water to cool that down?
Stop, is just...
Drop and roll, baby.
Thank God he didn't do that to me while I was interviewing him on Saturday or something like that. Wow.
Yeah,
that's funny. Okay, so we got more where that came from a little bit later on in terms of Twitter-based videos as we pull them. Without music in the background, it's always a plus because we don't have to risk getting a strike on Facebook or something. Yeah, but we're not rooting for any one of the 15 Gallardi semifinalists. We'll be announcing next week, or I will be with Pat Coleman and D3Football.com. The finalists, I believe 5. We'll confirm that because that's changed from year to year.
4 or 5 isn't the normal thing, yeah.
Yep. But definitely an honor always to do that show and produce it and everything else with Pat. So be prepared for that coming up soon next week. But we got some quarterfinal action to talk about. One game I'm attending. I did not say on the show which one it was, although I did kind of preempt the show with the announcement on Twitter. And we'll talk a little bit about that trip out to Naperville. My first time in Naperville coming up. This is season 15 of In the Huddle live. I need to go back to something here. I see if I can isolate it. But one of my favorite photos of you of all time really is, and I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to do this without restarting the whole thing. So hold on. I'll try to do this the right way. That one right there. I mean, that is Bedhead from hell right there.
Yeah, I may have done this show with Bedhead more than one occasion over the years, and including today, potentially. At least I got a haircut a couple of days ago, so it's a little harder to tell. But, man, that was, yeah.
So, listen, here's what...
It's game day. You gotta show up with whatever you got.
Well, here's what we're going to do. As we wait for our first guest for today's show, we're going to talk about the 4 quarterfinals, and JB is going to break down how we got there as well. And we have a pretty simple slide. We are reducing the number of games just for you folks. We're making it simpler out there to follow the action. And 3 of the games are 1 p.m. Eastern time games, which means that the balance of power is starting to move to the Midwest and the South at this part of the season, which a lot of people aren't surprised by. But there's an interesting upshot here in terms of if Ithaca can beat North Central, what could happen ultimately if they can make it to the semifinals. I mean, that's a long shot, no doubt. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. But yeah. JB, take us through the quarterfinals.
Well, on one side of the bracket, we have the matchup that no one thought or no one picked on their Elite Eight, which is Wartburg versus Aurora, two upstart teams, one from Iowa, the other from the suburbs of Chicago. Apparently, the suburbs of Chicago has got some D3 football stuff going on this season and has been for a few years now, but should be an exciting matchup between those two teams. The winner of that will be pretty much punching their ticket to the semifinals for the first time ever. I think this is the farthest either team has advanced in the playoffs, and so certainly an interesting opportunity there. The big question mark for the Knights is whether or not their starting quarterback, who was injured in the last game at St. John's, can play. If not, that could change things a little bit, but really Wartburg is a defensive-oriented team, so they're going to try to lean on that defense in order to get to this next round. Down in the lower left, a couple of D3 blue bloods that have been in the playoffs for a long time. Del Val versus Mount Union, and it's funny when I did this slide earlier, I assumed that Mount Union was the home team, and we found out that nope, actually it should flip that upside down, and so yeah. The Raiders are traveling to Pennsylvania, and will be taking on the Aggies out there, and should be a great matchup. An elite defense against an elite offense. We'll see how that pans out. Speaking of elite offense, both North Central and Ithaca have those. It'll come down to whether or not Ithaca's big offensive line can hold off the beasts at the defensive line for the Cardinals, and that should be an interesting matchup. I mean, there's some really big guys that are going to be in this game. I mean, when people say D3 football is glorified high school, I would invite them to watch the young men that play for both of these teams and try to say that and not get punched in the face, because these are some big dudes. This is going to be a really physical game. I don't know what the weather's going to be like in Chicago this weekend, but it should be a fantastic matchup between two stellar teams. And then finally, Bethel is going to be taking on the Crusaders, the defending champs, who are, like we said, the UMHB crew have entered the chat, and the playoff crew. They have flipped the switch, and they're doing exactly what they did last year, and they look strong. I mean obviously they've got the Fireman King at quarterback, who likes to sling the football pretty hot, and with Brandon Jordan and KJ Miller, they're a threat to beat any team, anytime, anywhere. So should be a great weekend of games, and looking forward to seeing what's up.
Let's talk to somebody that's going to get to see me firsthand. Strike two, Frank. It's going to be a great show going on here. Can't wait to fly at 5 a.m. tomorrow and just see how far I make it out to Naperville. We'll see how this goes. I can see in my screen right now that he is looking like the epitome of playoff football right now. Ladies and gentlemen, Ethan Greenfield, running back.
What's up, dude?
Ethan, how are we doing out there, buddy?
Doing great. Thanks for having me on.
No problem. Listen, I know it's a little earlier for you out there at about 8:08 a.m. Central Time. I'll be joining you in the Central Time Zone soon. But, I mean, man, you have 23 touchdowns. When we include your receiving touchdowns, it's almost 2 per game this season out of the 12 games you've played in. And you're just, I keep calling you the bowling ball. I hope you don't mind that, but you're just rolling over players like bowling pins, and they're flying like a bowling pin, except when I roll a bowling ball. It's a whole nother story for another week. But, I mean, what is the drive behind this team right now? Because you guys are just really rolling, to keep the whole analogy going here.
Yeah, kind of the drive that we always talk about, just like nameless, faceless opponent, just always get better, like comparing yourself to yourself and keep working like that. And we really do just love each other as a team, and we don't want this to be over. That's the bottom line. We talk about every week, one more week, fight for one more week, do everything you can to get another week with your friends, your brothers, to spend this time together, especially for me and my other fifth-year seniors. We talk about it too, that we don't want this to end. This has been an amazing journey, and we're going to do everything we can to get another week of football.
Ethan, what was it like for you guys last weekend with the kind of surprise 7-0 deficit that you faced with with Carnegie Mellon, and that defense of theirs kind of slowed you down for a little while. What did you guys do from either a coaching or just in a huddle perspective to try to, was it just, we're going to keep with our game plan and keep hammering at these guys and eventually they'll break, or were there other adjustments that you made that kind of opened that game up later on?
Yeah, we talked as an offense, which I think was good. That it was no one freaked out, no one panicked. I mean, down 7-0, I think like doesn't happen often, but we were like, hey, this is good that it's happening because we need to go through stuff. We need to feel pressure. We need to feel that we need to raise our level at certain points because it's going to happen again at some point, and most likely this weekend. And it's good that it was able to happen to us, and we were able to maintain our composure and stick to what our coach is telling us, and just keep executing the game plan and keep to the grindstone and keep trusting each other, because there was no one yelling at each other, no one pointing the finger. It was, hey, like, we're not playing as good as we can right now. Let's raise our level. Let's pick each other up. The defense is bailing us out time and time again. We need to put points on the board to give them a little bit of a cushion as well. But yeah, super proud of the way that we were able to just stay together and come out with the win at the end of the day. And then we look back on the film and see what went wrong, what we could have done better, and we fixed that during the week.
You brought up it could happen again this week in terms of falling behind or something along those lines. But I mean, let's talk about this week. You've got this Ithaca team that, had a really interesting game last week against Springfield. A lot of people were surprised that Springfield stuck with them as long as they did. They, too, faced an early deficit, which people didn't expect in that game. What have you seen on film with Ithaca that impresses you, and what do you see that sort of makes you realize that you probably still are the best team on the field when it comes down to it on this Saturday?
Yeah, they're a good team. I mean, you're in the Elite Eight going to the quarterfinals. Every team's here for a reason. So I know offensively, I'm more focused on the defense, but I know guys I'm talking to offensively, they're explosive. They got a good quarterback. They big up front, as you guys were talking about earlier. So they got to challenge up at that. And then just defensively, they're always in the right spot. They fly around really well. They have a really good scheme. They run really well. They do their stuff to a T. And we talked about really the success that we're going to have to do is just communicating up front to what we're seeing, making sure we're working to everyone that we need to be, and we're just playing with effort, and basically like that's it. But they're a very talented team. I mean, as I said before, every team in that's going to be, when there's 8 teams left, every team is a good team. And no matter what, I mean, we've seen it throughout the playoffs this year. Anything can happen, any game with anyone. So you just got to be playing your best every game and not take any opponent lightly.
Ethan, I don't know if you saw, but the last show we did, one of your defensive linemen, Dan, I think it's Dan Gilroy, was my defensive MVP of the weekend. On a scale of 1 to 10, how bad does it hurt when he tackles you at full speed? He looks like a beast. It looks like you guys go to the same hairstylist. You guys got the locks flowing, the mustache, the beard, the playoff beard, everything going on. I mean, that defensive line that you get to practice against all the time is probably, the old iron sharpens iron, right? Is that pretty much what's going on here?
Yeah, no, it is. It's truly kind of a blessing for our O-line to go against them, because that is a monster D lineman from Tyler Rich, Dan Gilroy, Brandon Greifeld, Dan Lester. They're all just absolute fantastic football players and work hard. And Gilroy, me and him have been best friends since we came in as freshmen in 2018. And watching the player that he's become has been quite scary. And I'm glad that we don't have to go against him on Saturdays.
That's awesome, first off. Yeah, and here's a question, though. I think I asked Luke this back in the preseason show that we did, but I want to ask it to you now because it's taking on more importance, I think. I remember being on the field after the Stag Bowl last year and watching your team watch Mary Hardin-Baylor receive their accolades and celebrate out there. It was something I've never seen happen after a Stag Bowl since I started doing this in 2007, I believe it was, on the sidelines, where your team stayed out there much longer than was required to watch what happened after that in Canton. Did it leave a taste in your mouth that made this unfinished business basically for this year? And are you guys working toward that unfinished business almost in a business sense in mindset throughout this season?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I know a lot of us did that for a reason. I mean, why run away from the fact of what happened. Bottom line is we lost, and I was like, I'm going to soak this in and let it hurt so that when it comes time to play again, I'm going to do everything I can to never let me or my teammates feel that same feeling again. But yeah, no, it definitely is a driving force. I mean, it's happened in the past, so it's not talked about often. Like we're not consistently talking about it, but everyone knows that feeling. Everyone who was there standing on the field in that game understands that this is the feeling that we're doing everything we can to avoid, because I think it was a good thing that you face the cards you're dealt. I mean, we lost at the end of the day, and we didn't try to walk to the locker room and make excuses for this, make excuses for that. I mean, they beat us, and that's what it was at the end of the day. But I'm always remembering it personally when it's 15 degrees outside and we're going to practice and the wind's blowing at 20 miles an hour, and it's it's the start of December, and my body hurts might be a little bit, but that's what keeps me going, and that's what keeps a lot of these other older guys going too.
Well, you're a lot younger than some of us older guys, but fortunately in 2022, there's some interesting opportunities for fifth-year seniors, and there's a number of players on your team that I think could do something after their college career is over. I mean, have you thought about USFL, XFL? There's perhaps the draft. I mean, there's lots of different ways to play pro football now. Are you thinking about doing that, or are you in that sort of I'm focused on Saturday and I'll worry about that later kind of mindset?
More or less, yeah. Like I'm more of a whatever happens, happens at the end of the day. But I know that for right now, I am 100% focused on playing tomorrow. But I know that down the road when this season's finished, I am gonna still want to keep playing. And however that shapes out, however that goes, I don't really know, and we'll get there kind of when we'll get there. But that is kind of a goal of mine to be able to keep playing, because I want to keep playing until my body tells me that it's 100% time to be done.
Okay, Ethan, my first time in Naperville. Give me the rundown, the game day experience, the must-dos, the must-eats, and everything else. I need to understand. I don't usually venture out of Chicagoland when I'm out in the Chicago area. Landing in O'Hare early enough to get some breakfast at least somewhere along the way. Give me the rundown. What do I need to do, and who do I need to meet, and everything else as we lead up to that noon Central Time kickoff.
Oh yeah, I wonder if the Gold Coast.
What's that? I'm sorry, we didn't hear you on that.
Are you flying into O'Hare?
Flying into O'Hare, yes, I am.
Okay, yeah. So that's not very. It's like 30 minutes from Naperville, and then pretty early. So, yeah, I'm trying to think. If you when you get to downtown Naperville, because that's where the stadium is and the school, there's gonna be a million things to do, and there's a. I'm not a big breakfast person, so I couldn't tell you really where. But all I know is that at some point, the tailgate that we have in the parking lot at the stadium is a very, I think, unique experience for a Division III team, because we have a lot of people there. We take up like an entire parking lot. The food that people cook there is amazing. One of our offensive linemen's parents have like a food truck where they make their own food, and they bring it out every game, and they have different stuff for breakfast, lunch, and dinner throughout the day. So it's that's where I would be. Yeah, that's where I would be if I were you.
So I used to live in Chicago a long time ago, Ethan, probably even before you were born. But like I remember, there's like there's like the Gold Coast dogs, the Polish. There's all different types of sausage and some combination of Italian and Greek food. Is that kind of what's going on at the Cardinals tailgate?
Oh yeah, yeah. There's always just a little bit of everything every single time, and every week there's always something new that I'm trying that I'm loving. Like it was well, I don't even remember what like. There's been so many new foods I've tried throughout like this tailgate that I'm so thankful for, and it's always something amazing. It's something to always look forward to after the game.
But Ethan, hold on a second
awesome.
here. You said, quote, I'm not a breakfast guy, I think you said earlier. You are 5'9", 215 or thereabouts. Probably the roster lies in certain ways, but you can't be too far from that from what I've seen. But so how do you keep that kind of mass on you if you're not a breakfast guy? What the hell are your lunches and dinners like, man?
Pizza, baby.
Yeah, I'm not a breakfast guy, but make myself eat it all the time though, because I'm just I like more of I wake up. I like to kind of like start my day like either lifting or do something like kind of productive. But I don't know. I've just never liked waking up and eating right away. But you got to make yourself do it. You got to do what you got to do.
Absolutely.
Well, it's time, Ethan, to get you on your way. But before we do that, we always have our tradition here on In the Huddle to allow our player guests to give shout-outs to any family, friends, teammates, etc. that might be watching as you enter this quarterfinal round. North Central still rolling, thanks to you, the bowling ball, rolling down that alley and just hitting those guys on the defensive side like no other. Go ahead with your shout-outs, my friend.
Yeah, a shout out to the offensive line, tight ends, receivers, everyone on offense who makes my job a lot easier by working hard and blocking people and moving people, and let's keep this thing going.
There you go. Ethan, I can't wait to see you again in person. It's obviously not the first time and maybe not be the last time either for that matter. As long as you guys keep rolling to Annapolis, we'll see where it goes. But first things first, Ithaca is in front of you. Thanks for joining us and good luck tomorrow.
Thank you guys. Thanks for having me on.
Nice to meet you, man. It's like a regular Dave Grohl there. I love the got the Carhartt hat and the black long hair. He's a rock star, man.
Indeed he is. JB, as we kind of gather ourselves together here, as you know, what we do here is we tend to do some Twitter videos that we found throughout the week. Sometimes, exciting things, sometimes a little different. ETBU probably went into that column at least once for us this season. So the first one's a little serious, and this was one that you called to my attention yesterday from, I believe, Middlebury?
Yes, my dad's alma mater, yeah.
Go ahead, explain this one.
Yeah, well, so Middlebury, it's funny because they've designated the head coach title to a guy named Mickey Heineken, who actually recruited me when I was in high school. I remember Coach Heineken from back in the day, and I thought it was funny that there was a coach named Mickey Heineken, of course, being similar to two beers you may have heard of. But yeah, Coach Ritter from Middlebury is hanging it up. He had taken the Panthers to the pinnacle, I think, in 2019. They went 9-0, and they had a good season this year, but he's hanging it up and going into the athletic department. I think he's associate AD or something like that, going to retire from coaching but still stay involved with athletics. And so congratulations to Coach Ritter on an excellent career, and shout out to my dad's Middlebury Panthers. And here you go.
As I start to reflect on my career, it is pretty amazing to think that I've coached my 40th season. I have so many incredible memories, both big and small. But the one constant throughout all of it has been the people. There is truly no greater feeling on game day than to look up at Alumni Stadium and see the stands packed with family, alumni, parents, and dedicated fans from near and far. I feel lucky that I've worked alongside so many great colleagues and players who have become dear friends. Not all people get to find a place they call a second home, and Middlebury has not only felt like that for me, but it has also been that for my whole family. One of the most special feelings throughout my football career has been getting to hug my family on the field after games, and having the opportunity to watch all three of my kids have exciting and transformational academic and athletic experiences here. People don't stay in roles at institutions like Middlebury unless they feel supported and valued, and I have always felt that. I remember when I was named head coach, I felt such a great honor, but also a great responsibility. I viewed myself as a caretaker of a program with a rich and storied tradition. As I asked my players to do, I hope in some small way I've left the program a little better than I found it.
That's a long time. That's a long, long time.
It's a bit of a tearjerker. Yeah.
No kidding.
Oof, 40 years. Man. Wow. 40 seasons, man.
it's got to be such a change of life when you say to yourself, finally, I'm going to hang it up. And I sure hope he has hobbies or something, because it really is a change. And, you know, we always say, you know, back when Joe Paterno died, before that, when everything bad happened over there at Penn State, I used to say that when they, you know, let him go, essentially, or pushed him out, that was like his spouse. That football is your spouse or your child to a certain degree. And when you lose that, you know, it progresses your aging markedly, because you've seen, you know, when husband's wife dies, sometimes they die not too long after that because of the, you know, loss of companionship per se. Football is like that for a lot of people, and you got to make sure that you are mentally prepared for that fact, the next steps, have stuff ready to go for you, because if you don't, there's this emptiness, this hollowness that follows it. And so for any coach out there that is in that realm, just listen to that a little bit and get those hobbies ready, get the next steps ready. Don't completely hang everything up related to football. You can still consult, still go out there, still be a part of the game.
Yeah, and you know, I think that's partially why, you know, Coach Ritter is going to, you know, take over in the, you know, the associate AD role. He'll still stay involved with Middlebury athletics. He'll still be engaged with the kids and the college and all that type of thing. So it's a great run. 40 seasons is an incredible accomplishment. I can't believe that, you know, it's been that long since you know, Coach Heineken all those years ago that I met in Middlebury, and I've, you know, seeing that video, I recognize some of the locations that I, for my college visits and all that type of thing, and it's a special place. You know, I didn't attend there, but I know it was a special place for my dad. He skied down a hill and grabbed his diploma back in the day, so that's a pretty cool tradition that they have up there in Vermont. And there's always going to be a part of me, you know, deep inside that will always be a Middlebury fan for life. So congrats to Coach Ritter and company, and you know, we'll look forward to seeing what's next for the Panthers.
Okay, so up next here, we are going back to the Kyle King files here in terms of the Gagliardi Trophy semifinalist situation. JB, I'm keeping us on the screen, though, this time. You'll see in the bottom right our reactions here.
Okay.
This is our friend Alvy King, who we hear from quite frequently throughout the season, giving us reasons not to vote for Kyle King as the Gagliardi Trophy winner. Here we go.
Oh, boy.
He's probably the worst artist in the history of the world. In kindergarten, the first day of school, they have to draw a self-portrait. His looked like a bug, maybe just a bug. Then 36 weeks later, at the end of school, they do it again, and so you can see the improvement. And so I couldn't wait. You know, I went down, they hung it up on the wall, and he had drawn a bug with 2 arms. At Disney World, he set the Disney World record. He was in junior high. He drank 13 glasses of chocolate milk at one meal. It was so bad that Mickey Mouse came down and was like filing a complaint against him. But overuse of the word surreal. I don't know how much of y'all follow on Kyle's interviews, but every game and everything is very surreal to him. So it's kind of like a family joke that he learned a new word, surreal, and he uses it like constantly. He had the best gross motor skills. Like when he was 4 years old, I'm not exaggerating, he could make 3-pointers with a boys basketball, like shoot them, and hit a baseball farther than anybody. And every sport just came very naturally to him. But he couldn't tie a shoe. And his riding was horrible. He would go hit 3 home runs and get every out and pitch a no-hitter, and then come over and have to tie a shoe. And my wife just put Velcro on him, everything he did. But did I tell you that he's a karaoke champion? Oh, he won the karaoke at Howard Payne. He won the school-wide karaoke contest. Oh, like singing. He goes to karaoke nights and sings country music. He doesn't feel pain like normal human beings, okay? I called him Scooter. And then one day he told me, he goes, my name is Ice Cream Scooter, call me that. Don't ask me why. So he's running up the bleachers, like he was just running up the bleachers, and he fell, and he almost bit his tongue off to look at it. So then we win the game, and so we all go to Pizza Hut to eat. And I look over, and he's got like those cheese sticks, and he's dipping them in that tomato sauce and just sucking it off. And so I don't think he feels pain like regular people. People don't understand this about Kyle. He's a great athlete, but he is a theater kid. Okay, in Milano, Texas, we have a very, very good theater program, and he was the star theater student in Milano. Like, he won Best Actor.
Oh my God. You can always count on the dad jokes to carry the day. Wow, that was unbelievable.
Oh my goodness. So we got a little quandary here, because I was asking Kyle to call us and hit us with a few bars of that karaoke country music that he's known for, and he's just refusing. He said, when I challenged him, I said, "Don't make me say on the air you don't have the balls to sing live." He said, "You might just have to say, I can't give my opponents that ammo." I don't know what that's saying.
There you go. Hey. Well, and that's fair, because that game against Bethel that's a legit opponent, and Jaron Rosted and company, they have some ammo. The Royals are going to be a tough team to take down. That might be the best game of these quarterfinals potentially, to be honest. So I hear you, Kyle. I mean, I'm also a singer every once in a while, supposedly. I enjoy a good karaoke night here and there, but yeah, you've got a big game coming up tomorrow, so rest easy today and get ready to get after it on Saturday.
So, oh boy, I don't even know how to do this.
Yeah,
we have a guest.
You're going with this one.
We have a guest in the waiting room right now. That I wasn't so sure was going to actually happen today, and we actually scrubbed it from our schedule to appear just in case, for his protection and everything else. So, as a lot of people know out there, this whole Sparkle Man BS that I've done for the last 6 years or so on the Stag Bowl sideline actually was in honor of Craig Sager, who we lost to cancer literally the night before Stag Bowl a number of years ago. And I had asked Pat Coleman from D3 Football if I could do something as an homage to him, essentially, at Stag Bowl on the sideline, and found the most audacious suit I could find at Macy's overnight that night. And I went and bought that thing, put it on, and a lot of people knew why I did it right off the bat that were in the broadcast business, that were over at the Stag Bowl down in Salem that year. And as people began to learn about it, it took on a life of its own. And what we really started to do with it, because we wanted to continue to do it, was get cancer funding for cancer research behind it. And last year we actually raised about, I think, $1,400 in cancer research funding through the Sager Strong Foundation. So this season, it took on a special meaning when we learned our friend Trentin Dupper over at Center College was diagnosed and would miss the season due to cancer himself. We've been updating folks on this throughout the season. I know he's been having a bad week because I didn't realize he had a Caring Bridge page until today, to be honest with you, and saw some of the posts from the last week. So when I asked him to be on the show last night, I did not realize what he's been going through. And Trentin, I'm going to say it right off the bat. You are a hero to me. For somebody the age of 22, that may sound strange for a 46-year-old to say, but I don't even know how the hell you're doing this, man. Not just this interview, but going through all this. I don't have the words, and I don't get emotional usually anymore in interviews, but to hell with it here. How you feeling? How you doing? Take us through the last week at least, and then we'll get into maybe the before stuff in a little bit. But how you doing, bud?
Well, hey guys, I appreciate you having me on for sure, and I appreciate you keeping up with me throughout this whole thing. It's been a good support to have. I'm kind of a heads of D3 coverage, kind of looking out for me through all this. But yeah, this week was rough. I had to, I had chemo 2 weeks ago started, and then a rough feature of it is that if you get a fever after your round of chemo, you have to go into the hospital And so the day after Thanksgiving, I had to go in for a fever and make sure that I didn't have an infection anywhere, because those can be particularly dangerous when your counts, your bacteria fighting cells are low. And so I had to go through that, which was kind of a typical thing, but just haven't been feeling myself. Definitely, it was a rough week, kind of particularly. And as this thing's gone on, it's gotten harder. Just the body just doesn't recover as it usually does. But I'm feeling good now. I was supposed to do chemo this week, but I called it off for myself. So we're going to hit back on the road on Monday.
Timeout.
Yeah, a little timeout. A little break in the action, but get back to it on Monday for the home stretch. So.
Well, Trentin, it's good to see you. And, I know in the grand scheme of things, football is just a game. But they're part of the reason I think people like Frank and I have stayed so attached to it all over these years is a lot of the life lessons, the connections that you can make with people. And I imagine that throughout your fight, the current situation, that maybe some of those, life lessons that you've learned from the sport, either stuff from your coaches or just other experiences, has helped you through. Tell us a little bit about the journey and how has your experience as a football player, kept you in this game, for lack of a better term. So it's bigger than that, obviously, but want to ask you a little bit about how that's gone.
Yeah, it's funny. I used to say all the time, and I used to be a believer that, football is just a game, right? Like there's bigger things than football. I mean, things come up that are more important, you say. But going through this and having been diagnosed and the whole journey so far, the football family that I have has been the biggest support group that I could have ever imagined. I mean, my high school football family, and in my hometown, and then on to Center College in Kentucky. I mean, those relationships that I've been able to create and grow through football have really been the only reason that I'm still going strong. I mean, I definitely wouldn't be able to do it without the relationships I've made through football, and definitely, there's the lessons there of fighting through adversity and taking it one day at a time and all that stuff. But really, it's the relationships and the people that have kept me going. So now I'm very slow to say that football is just a game, because I've seen how powerful it can be. But definitely when things happen outside of football that are serious and stuff, I definitely don't take it for granted. The opportunities that football creates.
Trentin, some people out there might not know what your story is. I mean, you last season were having a great season as quarterback for Center. You were a name that we dropped on Crunch Time quite frequently when we talked about your school on our clips and on our screen. And I believe you were the offensive player of the season for, I don't know if it was school or the SAA looking back at this point, but you're getting ready, it seemed like. You had everything going well for you, and then what happened and what was your reaction to it?
Yeah, so it kind of all started with our Center football trip to Ireland. That's why I'm wearing the green hat. That was in late May. Coach Fry took the whole team to Ireland. We do it once every 4 years, and go play a football game out there. And so I noticed some kind of pain in my chest throughout the trip. It was nothing serious. I mean, nothing I would ever go to a doctor about or an emergency room about. I came home and told my mom about it, just kind of in passing. And then, so the day I get home from Ireland, I leave for Tampa Bay, which is where I had a summer internship at a law firm down there as a center connection, center grad that had a law firm and gave me an opportunity for an internship. So I'm there for a week. And then on Saturday, I still remember the dates. It was June 11th. I took the LSAT. It was actually the day I took the LSAT at night or in the afternoon. So I got that done. I was studying for that the whole week and leading up to that week. And then the Tampa Bay Lightning were in the Eastern Conference Finals playing. And so after the LSAT, I went out with a buddy of mine from high school that happened to live in Tampa. And we went out and watched the game and hung out for a while. But I had to call it in early because the pain I'd felt in Ireland suddenly, just out of nowhere, just went to a 10. And I went home and tried to sleep it off and tried to wait until maybe it passed or something, but it just never did. And so I went to the emergency room the morning of June 12th, and they couldn't find out what was going on, had me hooked up to a bunch of monitors and everything. Eventually, they decided, we don't know what's going on, we're going to have to take a look. And so they scanned it, had a X-ray and a CAT scan, and that's when they found the tumor kind of in the back of my chest along my spine, kind of. And so that's when they found the tumor. And then the official diagnosis came in later in August, a cancer called Ewing's sarcoma. And it usually affects kids around my age, is usually the type of age group it happens in. And it's usually in a long bone, like a long femur or arm bone, but mine's pretty peculiar in that it's kind of in the soft tissue of my chest. So that was the beginning of everything.
How big is that, or was that tumor when it first started out?
Yeah, so when it first started out, it was pretty sizable. It was 9 centimeters, which, the doctors never say never go outright and say it, but you can tell sometimes in some of the meetings that it was not looking very optimistic. But since then, through, some biopsies and some stuff that happened, and part of it being cystic or having some liquid inside of it, and then through the chemo, it's now shrunk down to around 2 or 3 centimeters. So that, when we rescanned it, I must have been a month ago when we rescanned it, it was just like, wow, I cannot believe the progress that's been made on it, which was super encouraging, and honestly kind of a miracle in my opinion, but still a good way to go. But we're definitely on the right track.
Well, Trentin, when you get well, I'll be happy to introduce you to a number of lawyers that I know down here in Florida that you can grab a job with after you graduate from school. You mentioned the Ireland trip, and I have seen, I think Carroll University has been posting that they're headed over there. What is that experience like for a student athlete to be able to get to go overseas and play football, in the UK on that Green Isle out there?
Yeah. Oh man. I still say that it was probably the coolest experience I've had in my life. It was the first time for me going to Europe, and I'm sure it was the same for a lot of the guys. And to be as a tight knit of a group, like a football team, and to go over there and just experience an entirely different culture. I know the language is the same, but you'd be surprised by how different the culture is over in Ireland compared to the US. And to be able to do all the cool things and see all the sights and look at castles and old churches and go to the different pubs and everything. I mean, you can hit a rock and you can throw a rock in Dublin and hit a pub. That's what they say. So
Yeah.
that was
Exactly.
It was all was all fun stuff to do and then being able to put the pads on and play play a team was pretty insane. So I know it's kind of becoming a trend in college football for teams to go to the UK and play, and I think that's great. And I think as many teams as that are able to do it should do it, because I think we were never closer as a team than after that trip. So it was really cool.
With JB's permission, I want to double up for a second on questions. First off, you still have a year of eligibility, at least one. We all know that COVID has created a befuddlement of who's who and what's what in terms of eligibility out there. It's November. I mean, is it still in your mind that you want to come out and play college football again next September? Is that something you are still working toward? What are your goals here as this, let's say, detour in your life has sort of forced you to reassess what's what and when things are going to happen? What are the goals right now?
Yeah, the goal is to return to life as normal. I mean, that's first and foremost. I don't live the life that I lived before chemo is definitely not the one I live now. I mean, it's I've lost a lot of weight and lost a lot of muscle mass, some things you need to play football, but and you can't really work out on chemo. But yeah, the goal is to return to kind of baseline first. And then once I get that under control, and if that's something that's attainable, then yeah, I could definitely see football being on the horizon. I mean, in some capacity, it may not be playing and having the year I had before all this, but I would love to. I'm still going to be a part of a team no matter what, whether it's coaching the young quarterbacks or what have you. But if I'm able to put the pads on and go out there, I mean, that would be remarkable from where I'm at right now. I mean, it would take a lot of work and a lot of working out and running, but I mean, it's nothing I haven't done before. It's a lofty goal right now. But it's something that, why not? It's definitely something that I've used as motivation, kind of, if I can return back to normal from this, and it might all be worth something. So it's on the horizon, but it's not a for sure thing.
Now on the flip side of this, I'm going to share something on our screen right now. I'll read it for those that can't see it. And it was, I believe your dad, Joe, had put the Carrying Bridge update on the 29th of November, which is 3 days ago, entitled Struggling Some. Trentin has had some rough days lately since his admission over Thanksgiving. He needed 3 units of blood and platelets while in house. After he got home, he had lots of issues and struggles. Please pray for him. He's struggling with everything coming at him right now. He needs lots of prayers. Thank you. For as much as you talk about, returning to normal life and everything else, just 3 days ago, your father felt enough to put up something that could be that alarming to folks reading it out there. So it's clear that the facade you put on is stronger than necessarily what's going on in the background. And I get that. And I that's why I say I don't know how you're doing a lot of this. And I guess the question I have for you is, was there ever a point you thought about just giving up on this whole thing? Because I know you have not gone through a normal situation here. It's been painful. It's been tough. And I don't ask you this to, create, some kind of sympathetic situation, but there are a lot of people out there right now that are going through what you are. God help us all that this happens at all, that need some kind of support or belief that they're going to be okay, that they're going to get through this. And so, did you ever think about that? And what has kept you fighting this hard to the point where you're even able to join us today and put on basically a happy face with us, which we appreciate tremendously?
Yeah, if you ask, it's funny, you ask my mom this question, she'll say that I probably say I want to give up probably every round. every round I've said that, and it's been hard for me because I'm always been a type of guy to put my head down and get through something. But I had really had no idea what to expect when the doctor said I would need chemo for 7 months. You know, I've had interactions with people with cancer and family members, but I've never been, you know, hands-on every single day to what chemo is actually like. And so it's been a shock for me, and a lot of days, kind of more recently, actually, just because it's been harder to recover after every round, I've definitely just said, Mom, I'm done with this. I don't want to do chemo anymore. We can do radiation, and then whatever happens after that is up. You know, it's up to whoever. So I've had those moments for sure. I mean, it's I don't even want to go Monday, honestly, to get chemo, but I know some things that help me keep going, I guess, are those relationships I talked about. There's a lot of people that believe in me and have invested a lot of time in me to be where I am today. And so I feel like for me, some of my motivation is that I want to do good by them and then see it through for them. And that goes for anyone struggling with cancer. I mean, there's more eyes on you than I think you could imagine. And there's more people believing in you than you think. And I've noticed that people reaching out to me that saying they're inspired by me that I didn't think I had any impact on. And so that's been encouraging. And I guess the strength, I think I have to say the strength comes from a spiritual grounding in God. I think that's where the strength comes from, but the motivation is definitely driven by those relationships and driven by other people that I've seen get through it and other stories. But yeah, those days of wanting to be done and quit are numerous. But you know, you wake up the next day, and that's just, you're going to wake up the next day. And so I've just used that to keep fighting, keep going. And for these next 3 months of chemo, I think I can go through it.
It's funny, Trent, when, you know, kind of going back to my first question about, you know, football being just the game, and obviously the position of quarterback is part of that game. But when I was listening to you talk about, you know, all eyes on you and, you know, getting knocked down and having to always come back up, it seems like, I mean, you know, maybe it is a spiritual thing, but like you were, as a quarterback, I think you were in a great position. Do you understand the struggles? And it sounds like you're really, you know, overcoming them as you go along. And perhaps for some weird reason, the position you play has put you in this situation to overcome all this. Because it's tough. Because when you're the QB1, all eyes are on you, and everyone from that offense is looking at you and hoping that you're going to do the, you know, pass the ball to the right guy, hand it off to the right guy, lead the game-winning drive, and all that kind of stuff. I imagine there's got to be at least a little bit of an overlap there.
Yeah, there may be. Our coach at center, Coach Fox, always says it's very interesting that what happens in football, the last thing that the players hear for the snap of the ball is the quarterback's voice. And so, you know, you're the guy. And so everyone looks to you, and maybe more people are looking at you than you think. And you're the guy that has to take the hits and lead the team and everything. And you have to get back up too. You have to face adversity, because if you can't, then everyone's going to look to you and maybe be discouraged. So I think that there is something to that. It's definitely a cool position to play, cool position to be in.
Trentin, as we close out here, I want to say a couple things myself to you. We love you. We are behind you. And as you know, a number of people throughout this D3 Nation and beyond are with you. Don't give up. I know you've got the tough road for these next 3 months with the chemo, radiation, etc., that they're going to be trying to finish the job here and win this game, beat this opponent. One of the stiffest opponents you've faced, but you've never melted in the face of an opponent before, so why change that now? If you ever need anything, we're here for you. Just let us know. If you need more prayers, we'll make sure we put out a call to everybody to make that happen. But most of all, and I started this interview saying it, I'm going to say it again, you are my hero. The way that you conducted yourself in this interview today and the face you put forward on it, it just makes it even bigger in that respect, how much of a hero you are to me right now. And I'm going to give you a chance for shout outs for 2 reasons. 1, because you deserve them. 2, because I'm going to start crying if I don't shut up right now. So any shout outs to family, friends, teammates, doctors, anybody, the floor is yours. You can take 3 hours for all I care. I don't really care. We'll just keep rolling the show. The Christmas parade is at 6:30 tonight in my village. So that's basically our cutoff at this point. So you go as long as you need to, Trentin Dupper.
I guess the first one that comes to mind, kind of pertinent, my high school coach that had been coaching at my school for 27 years and coached all my brothers, retired the other day. And he was probably the biggest, growing up, the biggest, besides my dad, the biggest kind of teacher of football for me and teacher of how to be a man, Coach Jerry Adcock in Decatur, Alabama. So shout out to him because he really molded a lot of young men in my community. And then going off that, shout out to Coach Fry at Setter. Me and him have become kind of buddies throughout this whole thing. He's been a huge support, and also Coach Fox and Coach Conley too. And then all the coaches. Coach Fox was our quarterback coach. He was the 3rd person I told after my parents about the tumor. So we have a great relationship, and of course, shout out all my teammates. They're gonna be excited that I was on this, but I love each and every one of them, and the way they just the way they support, and I was actually able to go to the Birmingham Southern game. I think it was November 5th, and we didn't end up winning, but just seeing all the guys' faces that I hadn't seen since Ireland, really. I mean, I maybe seen like 2 or 3 guys since Ireland. Wasn't able to go through fall camp, wasn't able to go through the season. And so I saw all of them during the Birmingham Southern game. And it was just a huge encouragement. And then shout out my mom. She's been the, caretaker for me and nurse and everything in between that you could imagine. She's probably kept me dying for a couple times from either passing out or something. And so she's literally held me up and made sure I stay on my feet. So she's been kind of the rock behind it. And then, of course, my doctors. I've had a great team of doctors throughout the journey at Moffitt Cancer Center in Tampa Bay. And then UAB, University of Alabama in Birmingham, and here in Birmingham is where I get my treatment. And then MD Anderson in Houston is where I'll get my radiation. So those 3 sites, I've been blessed to be able to be in the right place at the right time, for sure. So I think that's it. I think I got all my shout outs in, but I appreciate you guys giving me the floor on that and giving me the chance to talk and then I guess share my journey. I know a lot of people are going through the same thing, and I sometimes feel like there's a lot of tension on me when a lot of people are struggling with the same thing. So I hope I was able to maybe motivate or inspire or whatever the case may be. So I really appreciate you guys giving me the floor on that one.
Don't even know what to say or do at this point. I just don't. Man, I can't wait to meet you in person someday, to give you a hug and thank you for being the motivator, because I have bad weeks. I had a 6-hour-long meeting as mayor on Monday night, and you get much maligned for things like that and everything else. And you know what? It ain't nothing. It ain't nothing compared to what you're going through and what you're dealing with and what you're telling folks to endure out there and fight through. And so impressive, Trentin. I just, there's no other phrase out there for this, but so impressive that you are. Send our best to everybody out there. I know you're watching Nick Osterman do his thing out there this season for center, and he did a great job, not realizing that it was going to fall in his lap probably until the last minute, basically, this season. But you know what? I bet you he got a lot of motivation from you, his teammate and friend. So center is fortunate to have you there. And as they say, everything happens for a reason. And what doesn't kill us makes us stronger. Don't let this kill you, because it's going to make you stronger. You're going to make your entire family and college and everybody else a lot stronger around you. Thanks again. We will stay in touch indeed.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Wow.
Folks, you got to forgive us for a second here, because there ain't no playbook for this. I literally didn't know when I read the Caring Bridge page today that he would be on. And I need to ask folks right now, whatever you're doing, if you're watching this live or if you're watching the replay, please go search on Google or whatever, Caring Bridge, Trentin Dupper, D-U-P-P-E-R. Go find his page. You can put comments in there, follow his story, give comments, and please, as many people watching this right now, stop what you're doing, go there. The show will be here for you when you get back, and put your words of support to him. If you don't think support from people matters in recovery in a situation like this, you're a damn fool. It does. It just builds the psyche you need to go through and endure what he's got to endure. And come Monday, he's going to be enduring something really, really tough again. He admits himself he wanted to give up on. When you see me in some kind of really weird outfit on the sidelines on ESPNU on December 16th, it's for him. It's for youth out there that have to face this. And as JB's going to remind us, yesterday was a day that should have been somebody's 17th birthday, I think, JB?
Yeah, Mikey Weinstein would have been 17 on December 1st. We lost him to a pediatric cancer back in, I think it was 2015. Maybe it's 2016. God, it's just it's something that, especially as a parent, you never want to see a child go through. And but hey, I'm inspired by Trentin's strength, and I have plans for music this weekend. I think we'll perform the Foo Fighters' "My Hero" at least once, and I know who that song's going out to for sure.
JB, we got to do something to change the mood here to a certain degree. And on the phone right now with me is somebody. Yeah, I know. I can't even keep a dry eye on my face, let alone anything else.
I'm like, waterworks over here.
Yeah, same here. And on the phone is Glardy semifinalist and country crooner Kyle King from Mary Hardin Baylor. Kyle, I know you didn't get to see much or any of the interview we just did with Trentin Dupper, but his faith in God is getting him through. I know that's something personal to you that keeps you motivated every day. And, speak to that fact. I mean, having that support and having your family and everything else behind you is so super. And I know you have that kind of support based on the Mary Hardin Baylor.
Yeah, I have that support. And I'm not going to sit here and say I know what he's going through, because I don't think that's fair to him. And that's not the truth. But, prayers for him. And, keep him on the list. And, it's just important having that family support. So I hope he has the same family support I have, because I know that if I had something going on in that matter, that they would be there every step of the way and just make me feel comfortable and, help me fight it. So prayers for him.
Absolutely. Listen, the reason I was trying to get you on is because your dad, Alvy, kind of sent you under the bus on the whole thing and admitted to Sarah and company over at UMHB that you are a karaoke king. That Howard Payne, you may have won the entire karaoke contest at the school when you were a punter back then at Howard Payne. So let's first off, favorite country artist.
My favorite country artist, his name is Tyler Childers. He's like a Texas country, not even Texas country guy. He's almost like a folk blues almost type dude. But he's not radio popular, but he's pretty popular. So that's probably my favorite, Tyler Childers.
Okay, that's good. Favorite song, not necessarily by him.
My favorite song is by him. It's called "Shake the Frost." Once again, probably a song not just everybody knows, but it's a really good song.
Okay, Kyle, since I don't know the song, and since JB, I don't think you know the song either, just give me a head nod on that. Nope, he doesn't either.
I can't do it.
Why can't you do it, man? Come on, you can do this.
Because I can't give my team. I can't give the opponents that leverage on me right now. I can't.
That's wrong.
It's a cop out. But it's a cop out. I'm just gonna have to go with right now. I just can't do it.
Well,
and I'm in the house right now with my family, and they're all sleeping.
Alvy's used to it, sounds like. So don't worry about that.
My dad, I live with my aunt, but my dad's never even heard me sing. He's never even heard me sing. He just knows from other people. I never sing in front of my parents.
Kyle, okay. How about this? If you win versus Bethel this week, you come back on the show, or we get you recorded. You'll be our cold open next week. We will get a few bars. Are you singing Tyler Childers? You said song?
Yeah, Tyler Childers. Yeah.
Okay.
Shake the Frost. Okay.
Shake the Frost.
I'm gonna listen to that after this.
I'll give you what you want.
Okay, so I guess
I'm gonna
for
get my
folks
guitar.
out there, JB's looking for his guitar right now. But let me tell you, for folks out there, Ghilardi semifinalist Kyle King will sing first on the show if they beat Bethel. Another thing to root for, I guess, if you're a Mary Hardin Baylor fan. JB's got his guitar ready, so he'll join you next week on this if you guys win. Bethel will be no pushover, though, Kyle.
Bethel's a good team. Been watching my film because in our last review I said I didn't know much about them. I wasn't lying, but I wasn't being disrespectful. But now watching film on them, they're the real deal. Obviously, have a quarterback that can sling it all around the field and has been hurt, so his stats don't really show it. But he's a heck of a player. Huge offensive line, 2 really good receivers. Well, probably more than that, but 2 that really stand out on film to us. 2 good running backs, and man, their defense is just so sound and don't really miss tackles. And we're gonna have to earn it. We're definitely not going to be handed it.
Brandon Jordan's going to need a block like he did against number 3 of Trinity last week one more time, because that thing was something else, to say the least. But Kyle,
15 yards.
Yeah, no kidding. Kyle, good luck to you this week. Again, we are not picking favorites in the Ghilardi chase here, but they did a super job. Did the sports information department down there and the media department at UMHB to support your candidacy. So it's not for lack of trying on their part if this doesn't work out. But good luck to you on everything. And I
appreciate it, and I want to say thank you to them too, because they do it. They're unbelievable, and they don't get a lot of love. So I appreciate you shouting them out.
Absolutely. Sarah Harborth, right? Is the SID?
Sarah. Yep, Sarah, Twig, and Fortenberry. They do a great job.
Oh, yeah, Twig. I love Twig. Anyway, we will talk to you soon. Good luck this weekend, buddy.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
Okay, Kyle King. Yeah, are you still strumming over there? You want to hit us with a little bar or two or something? Go ahead.
Nope.
Wait. What?
Oh, what's that? Wait. What was it? Was that the? There goes my hero. Watch him as he goes. There goes my hero. He's ordinary. A little bit.
Not bad.
Okay,
I'm
a better
this
bass
is
player
gonna
than I am guitar player.
This is going to be a show that's not going to be forgotten anytime soon. I will tell you that much for a lot of reasons.
I know this is like number 350 something at this point, but I'm never going to forget this one. Wow. Yeah.
We got picks. We got a minute and a half for each game on the clock. It is 10:10 a.m.
Okay.
We are way late right now, but ask me if I care.
Nope.
That was just the preview of the music. Now the real thing. There we go. What the heck happened there? Watch Frank completely botch the show in 18 different ways. Oh, look at you. Do you want to address what's on the screen right now, though, about you leading by a dozen?
I got lucky here and there. You know, it's just a few things fell my way. What can I say? I'm not going to rub it in that I'm a great D3 football prognosticator or anything, but...
Aurora at Wartburg, I start 1 p.m. Eastern Time on the upper left. We are going to say here that defense wins championships eventually, at least here. While they may not win the championship, Wartburg, they will have the defense that will win this game. I think this is the end of the road for Aurora, not for lack of a super season and trying and everything else. But I'm going to give Wartburg the 2014 win in this ball game.
Yeah, I mean, I think with... You know, they may have to lean a little more on Hunter Clausen, the running back, depending on the health of their QB one way or another. But I do feel, like you said, the defense will carry the day and will kind of cool off this super hot Spartans offense. I'll take the Knights to win 17-14.
Mount Union at Del Val. Who knew? Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, other than Kyle King, I think probably the main favorite for the Gallardi Trophy might be Braxton Plunk. This guy has had an amazing career. He can sling the ball all over the place, and as good as the Del Val defensive line is, they've been susceptible to some pass plays, and Ruby is a fantastic wide receiver. I'll take the Raiders. Higher scoring game. Maybe it's like a 45-35 type of outcome.
Last time they were in the quarterfinals, I saw Mount Union face Muhlenberg, and that Centennial Conference strength of Muhlenberg nearly pulled things off last year at Alliance. Here, I just don't know if we're going to see history repeat itself, or maybe Mount Union is more aware of what can happen at this stage. And so I'm going to say that Mount Union would lose this game if the Nobile brothers can get into the backfield and start hitting Braxton Plunk early and often in this game. I don't think that's going to happen. I think the offensive line for Mount Union is up to this challenge in that respect. Mount Union wins 31-17. North Central at Ithaca is the next game. Just trust me on that. There it is. And I'm going to say that North Central... Here's what I say in quick hits, actually. I'm going to read it to you directly. In some way, this game sets up like Quartica this year for me, but with some definite differences in terms of the Ithaca opponent. North Central being much less mistake-prone than Cortland when they face them in Week 11. And they have a larger and faster defensive line and more experience in this situation across most positions. Unless North Central makes a few mistakes, they take command early and keep Ithaca distant on the scoreboard. 37-17, North Central wins.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if the Cardinals won by 3 scores. They're just that good, and we saw Ithaca really struggle with the running game of Springfield last week. And I think it's going to boil down to, can AJ Wingfield make a few plays? He's probably going to take some hits, but he's one of the toughest guys out there in D3. He'll make some plays if he has to call his own number. That'll keep Ithaca in the game early, but I believe the NCC will win this one later on, maybe like a 45-21.
Bethel at Mary Hardin Baylor. We just talked to Kyle King briefly there, and he now knows who Bethel is and is impressed by them on film. We're impressed by them, but are you impressed enough to give Bethel the win here?
Against the defending national champs, maybe not. I mean, I just think that the crew has kicked it up a notch, and playing at home in that stadium and their home crowd and that defense, they'll have the athletes that can keep up with Jared Rossi and company. So I think it'll be close, maybe late, but Crusaders hang on and win 27-20.
That's funny. Mine is 27-21, actually, in favor of Mary Hardin Baylor. Why didn't we go 28-24? I mean, that would be the game or the score of the season. There you go. What it comes down to, can Mary Hardin-Baylor get to Rosti in this game, make contact with him? Because I think contact is something he can't absorb much more of with his injury situation the way it is. The answer, I believe, is yes, they can. And as such, look, Trinity's offensive line was really great and all, and they busted through that. Ask Tucker Horn, he'll tell you, he took a beating out there. I watched it firsthand and thought he was done for out there at certain points. But Bethel, strong team, lots of talent, just won't be enough for this week, I don't believe. 27-21, Mary Hardin-Baylor wins. Well, as we kill the music.
We actually ended early. Well, late. 75 minutes later.
Yeah. Not really what we had in mind in that respect, but you want to take us out with something?
Yeah, I think, as a dad, I've been really trying to teach my kids a lot about the concept of resilience lately. And I think today's show really captured what that is about. So I'll just leave it at that. Like I said before, football is just a game, but there are certain lessons that can be learned that apply to bigger and more important things. And so, part of the reason why I think you and I do this are because of those reasons. And it's also, like Trentin said, the opportunity to have this extended family of people and just making connections in random places. Like, what were the chances 20 years ago I'd know some All-American quarterback from Belton, Texas? But it's just one of these things. It's what keeps us going. It's what makes this platform that we have that great. And when people ask me about the like what you're wearing, the little what's in the huddle, I'm like, we cover small college football where most schools, the biggest division, even though they're we're not on ESPN, there's a lot of great stories out there, and stuff like today is 100% why I'm going to keep doing this as long as I can. As long as you let me into this whole software system. You may give me the hook eventually, but
only on Union Hobart Week. Only on Union Hobart Week. Yeah, I know. I get it. Okay. Well, next year will be a different year, folks. There's nothing else we can say. I'll see you in Naperville, everybody, Ithaca North Central fans, and you'll see JB across Twitter giving you quarterfinal updates, 3 games at once at 1 o'clock Eastern time. So stay tuned. We'll do crunch time and more next week. And who knows, we may do the watch party for the semifinals again next Saturday. We'll see what happens. But for now, have a great weekend. And again, go on Curing Bridge, Trentin Dupper's page. Send them some words of support. It can't hurt. Have a good one, folks.
Not a dry